Today marks the start of National Consumer Protection Week. This week marks an opportunity for families to organize and protect their personal information from scammers. To discuss how you can protect yourself and your hard-earned money is Consumer Protection Commissioner Michelle Siegel. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you for having us and drawing attention to this important week.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us what this week is all about, first of all.
Well, it's really, and this is happening nationally, it's an opportunity for really Department of Consumer Protection here in Connecticut, but our counterparts in other states and at the Federal Trade Commission to really draw attention to all the things consumers can be doing and how they can be empowered to protect themselves.
What is one of the bigger scams? We were just talking about in the break. You're seeing a lot of imposter scams going around currently?
Yeah, so that's a big one. And this is when it may be somebody who sends you an email. They may call you, sometimes even knock on your door, and pretending to be someone they're not. A big one that happens this time of year is utility scams, where somebody may call and threaten that your heat is going to be shut off if you don't right away pay a bill that may not even be due. And then they'll encourage you to pay using a prepaid card or some other way where you can't get your money back once you realize you've been deceived.
Yeah, so what are some tips to be aware of that something is not what it appears to be?
So there's definitely some red flags consumers should be aware of. So first, always be on the lookout if you're not the one who initiated the conversation. So if somebody else calls you, or if the email comes in unsolicited, or certainly somebody knocking on your door, give yourself an opportunity to do some research. So one thing we're encouraging consumers to do, and this is a great week to do that, is get all your utility company, get the real contact information, know the right phone number for those places, and that way if you do get one of these calls, you can hang up and call the real utility company and find out, do you owe money and how much and can you go about paying it? Because they're not going to just force you to pay with a prepaid card at the last minute on the phone. If you owe money, you're going to know about it. So that's one really big thing you can do, is just know the right contact information for these places.
Okay, yeah, we had a story yesterday about one of those scams happening with police departments. So again, the police department, they've said they're not going to call and demand money. Something people should be aware of.
Yeah, definitely. So when somebody's calling and you don't really know who they are on the other side, other than taking their word for it, that right there is a red flag. If they're asking you for personal information, your bank account number, your social security number, that's definitely a huge red flag. If they're making you pay money and telling you something terrible is going to happen right away if you don't do it, that's also a sign that it's probably a scam. And so we always encourage people, take a break, find the correct contact information for who you think has called you, and if it's the police, call your local police. There's a non-emergency number for police departments, and find out what's really going on.
We see a lot of scams that target the elderly too. Is there a way that people can talk to maybe their elderly parents and just let them know that these scams are out there and targeting them specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, unfortunately, they become a more vulnerable population, and often just because they're home and answering their phones. So definitely just talk to them and remind them to do really the same things we're talking to you about. And it's also really important, if you have older members in your audience, talk to your peers about this, because that's often very effective. And if people start sharing the scams they got, then it becomes a little less scary, and you realize, okay, it's not just me. My friends, my neighbors, my kids, my family have also gotten the IRS call or one of these calls. And once people start talking about it, I think it becomes more familiar.
And we're not just seeing this on phone calls, also on social media nowadays. Facebook messages coming in with these kinds of scams.
Yeah, so that's another big thing. Be very cautious about what you're clicking on. So a Facebook ad, or if it's an email, or if it's a pop-up ad in some other website you're on, you don't know where that website is taking you, how it's going to maybe download something onto your computer. So definitely you don't want to just click on these links. And now they put out these articles that try to grab your attention to get you to click through. Be very cautious about that as well.
Is there anything in particular you would like people to do this week, and right now that this protective week is happening?
Yeah, there's several things that people can be doing. So one, again, get correct contact information for the utility companies you're using. Another great thing is check your credit report. You can get free credit report every year from each of the credit reporting agencies, and just see, are there any charges you don't expect on there? Are there any new purchases that you don't recall making? So that's another good thing to do. You can also follow us for tips about this. So at CTDCP, and we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we're going to be putting out tips all week as well for things people can do.
And we're running out of time, but really quick, can we just touch on the census?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So that's obviously in the news. That's happening soon. And it's really important in Connecticut. We want to get this accurate count on the census. But be aware, they're not going to ask you for your Social Security number. They're not going to ask you to give them money. So be very cautious. If somebody claims they're with the census and now asks for your full Social Security number, that's probably not legitimate. And you can go to ct.gov, the state's website, and there's information you can find from that home page on the census and learn more about it.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
A lot of information all on our website as well. And now we're going to turn to the forecast. Meteorologist Sam Samperi standing by. Hey.